Oh, we already recording. Okay. We're starting off today.
Good morning, everyone.
We are back talking about Brandon Shorsby.
Right? Sorry. It's like
Maybe
this.
that's how you say his name.
I'm
Everyone's gonna
sorry,
be like,
Tiffany. I
he's
should have helped you. I'm like, if you're listening, you can't see, but like, I could have helped more with Tiffany. But sorry, it's like, it's one of those things. Like, I feel like gambling is like the level of passion I have for that is the level of passion Tiffany has for neuroscience. So it's like funny that like I'm like it stores me, but it's not actually that serious, because I'm like just such a nerd. But yeah, we're gonna follow up a little bit um on some things with Brandon Sorsby and then also just kind of gambling in general. But I appreciate everyone putting up with maybe my caffeinated musings the last time and having us explore it. I know, like, I love to deep dive and explain the layers sometimes. So thank you for just, I don't want to say putting up with me, but just allowing us that space to kind of do that. I know that we're really excited to kind of continue talking more about it. And so some of the things we were kind of talking about today is like maybe a little bit more of like Ohio and just some of the landscape in general of gambling. And so I thought that might be of interest to our discussion today, Tiffany. But I also know you are someone who's maybe newer to some of these discussions in space. Like, I also wanted if you had like questions or something that like you could ask those here too, but not that you have to do that or be quizzed.
don't worry, I have all the quiz questions for you.
Oh, good. I love that.
So, first question out of the gate. We have I'm just gonna say Brandon, we're not gonna butcher his last name anymore.
Yeah. Shouldn't
We
be
have
funny, but I'm going to keep laughing.
Brandon who, am I saying this accurate, got caught with his gambling?
He did get it. That's fair language. He was monitored and was found to have been betting on games.
Okay. So I guess like my question to you from your professional standpoint, what do you think makes the difference from like me, for example, if I was to get caught doing this versus like Brandon getting caught? I don't like getting
Well,
caught, like
yeah,
struggling.
getting
Struggling with
found,
this thing.
discovered, yeah,
Yeah.
like his. So I want to make sure. Yeah, that's a great point. So when we talk about problem gambling, so we talk about like problem gambling. So Tiffany, if you wanted to put a sports bet right now, I mean, maybe don't do it while we're on the podcast. I'll feel really like I'm not
I
talking
wouldn't even know where
excitingly
to
enough.
start.
Well, you just, now that I've said sports bet, our algorithms will steer us. No, I get all these ads all the time because I'm always reading the professional articles, which then really skews. Um, like if you were to do that, there's nothing illegal about you putting a sports bet unless you have famous relatives or insider information I don't know about. There's nothing bad or anything that's problematic about you doing it. Why Brandon Sorsby got into trouble is he was betting on his own team. Like he was betting on his team's performance and it's a big no-no. You cannot do that because like you could be using insider information. So like if you know I'm just gonna make up a scenario for a second. Like if I know that like my teammate kind of strained themselves in practice, but someone else doesn't know that, that's insider information. And then if I do something with that, so he was putting bets on himself when he's transferred to several universities, but one of those was Indiana University on the wins. Which you might be like, oh, well, he only made bets for the wins. So I have some information that is from Fox Sports that I thought would maybe be interesting for us today. So the NCAA declared Sorsby ineligible for making bets worth at least $90,000 during his college career. Sorsby made at least 40 bets on Indiana while he was a freshman in 2022. None of these bets came on games he played. He acknowledged placing at least 165 impermissible bets on college and professional sports, totaling at least $38,000 in 2024, including 3 wagers on Cincinnati men's basketball made on a FanDuel account he shared with a friend. He provided more than 60,000 to the friend to deposit in the shared account between December 2023 and June 2025. So he did really well at UC as the starting quarterback, becomes the top prospect. He was seen by many as like the top quarterback. I believe he signed something of like a contract worth about I think it was $5 million actually, to go to Texas Tech to play. And then after he'd already done that, this comes to light. So yeah, we definitely want to just like the challenge here is like for any college or professional athlete to be making a sports bet is extremely risky to them, because it's like this is his career. And so if you think about doing something that could jeopardize your entire career, all this training, all this time, um, it's extremely risky. So that's why not to go, I am nerding out a little bit, but like that's why this was problematic. It's like it's a big red flag, absolutely not thing for any college athlete to be engaging in. So I hope
Wait,
that's helpful.
question. Um, I hear you talking about like this is a big like no red flag for college athletes. Is this something that like is more punishable for college athletes than like non-college athletes, or is it?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So that's why I think this case is kind of interesting with Brennan, is that he could have gone to the NFL draft. He did not. So he was at college football, and like the college football, we kind of talked about this last episode, but uh, was exploding because it's like you have someone who's literally been found doing this, and they were maybe potentially going to be able to play, like miss 2 games and play in a season where they just so almost like basically no punishment. Um, so like there's all these conferences based, like, I mean, almost every other football school. And I do mean, I know that can sound like an exaggeration, but pretty much every college football program that wasn't Texas Tech coming together, being like, they started canceling other games. Like there was University of Michigan canceled a volleyball game with Texas Tech, which is because they're like, we're not going to interact with that program at all. Like this was all going on. And so then Texas Tech's like, oh, we've changed our mind. We're going to not have him on the team, like kind of backpedaling. But all this is because he's a great quarterback, and they didn't want to lose this quarterback and chance to win. So it's just really, sports, the World Cup's going on as we're recording this. Like it can bring people together, like a lot of community, a lot of fun, a lot of like you want to see people excel. And so then this kind of undermines the integrity of the sport is a lot of the wording. So that's a little bit about that. But to go into like professional sports, the NFL's taken a pretty hard stand. So even if like you can make sports bets you cannot do sports bets while you're in the facility, like at a stadium, at a practice. You can't obviously bet on football, but you could interact differently, just not on football. But like I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. There were 2 Colts players. This was years ago. They placed bets while they were at one of the facilities. They were released from the team. And one of those players was very good. He was a very good corner, and the Colts really desperately needed that. But it was like, so that's kind of what happens. Like they take these stands, but there hasn't been a case of this scale where it's like a national discussion and everybody knows that that person gambled.
Very complicated in a way. So
It's so you start to make examples out of people, and that was what the NFL also is doing. Brent, they said he had appealed to go into this. They call it the supplemental draft, which is like a draft after the draft to be eligible. The NFL said no. They're like, you're welcome to join the draft next year. So effectively, the NFL is like, you're not coming for a year. And then he was suing the NFL. NFL's got all the money, all the lawyers. They're like, bring it on. And so they've settled, and he's going to declare for the draft next year. But so all intents and purposes, he was banned from college football for a year and the NFL from a year. Um, but I'll be very curious a year from now to see, because it's like this, we could talk about professional sports and getting complicated pretty quickly. But I mean, there's other things that people do that are not great things, where that's like domestic violence incidents, substance misuse. Like there are things that people have done that, oh, don't do that. And they are around because of the level of athletic talent and performance they have. So that's probably a whole other podcast, a whole other discussion. So, but I just feel like I should point this out here of like, when we talk about stigma of gambling, it's like, oh, absolutely not. You're never going to do this. But when I mention those things, there are people currently on major sports teams and all the major sports leagues that have done those things. But when it comes to gambling, you get a little more
So, is it common for athletes to like be punished in like these ways? I mean, to me, like 1 year play ban doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm also not an expert in the field.
There's really not been that many cases like this. Um, there's really nothing. That's a great question. I mean, there's not a lot to compare it to because also we have to remember, like with legalized sports betting in Ohio, that is a more recent phenomenon. Like it's not something that's been around that long. Still, I mean, 2023. Um, like I mean, it's just one of those things where it's very new to Ohio. Now, is it not? It's not. I don't want to say it's like new to the country, but like you used to have to go to Vegas or Jersey and like go to the casino. Now, like you can literally be on your phone all day, every day, and be making bets. Like, I mean, it's just a lot to contend with. There are ads everywhere and everywhere about sports. Um, so, I mean, I'm just talking about sports betting specifically. It's just exploded. And so, I think it's very destigmatized in the sense that like almost everyone, the people think it's almost everyone doing it. And it's just exploding. Like, and I want to be clear, not everyone that makes a sports bet is going to have like an addiction and like a problem with it. And I don't mean to act like that. I'm not trying to do the scared straight thing. It's just with so many people doing that, people are going to find that problem. There are going to be people who walk through that door and can't shut it and may not know that that's even something that could be an addiction. You know, like I think people think of addiction like alcohol, drugs, um, shopping, other things but some of those other process addictions and gambling, like, I don't think people understand it maybe the same or see it the same. So I don't think we all know enough about this. And I mean, I'm doing, if we call me an expert, all these trainings and stuff I'm doing, like I'm still learning a lot. There's so much, it's moving so quickly. So if someone was sitting there and they're like, I don't know anything about this, but this overwhelms me. I get it because it's moving so quick, like so quick, so quickly.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's a lot. Like it's so much. Like when you're thinking, like even as you're talking about it, it's like, oh my gosh, there's all of these things that are going on, and like all of these things, and we're just talking about sports betting because we've talked about like gambling in like video games and loot crates and things of that just. It's such a huge um realm of things. I guess
Gigantic.
it is, yeah. The more we're talking about them, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But also it really makes me curious in terms of like, I guess what do you think kind of started shining the spotlight on some of these things, at least from your professional perspective,
Uh,
kind of training?
God, that's a good question. Well, there was a lot of discussion before just because of the amount of money. So, like, I'm going to read you something from the Ohio Council of Behavioral Health and Family Service Providers. So, I'm just going to read you something because I think it ties in. Sports gambling in Ohio surpasses $4 billion of bets in 2023. So, Ohioans have now placed more than $4 billion worth of bets of sports gambling in 2023. Separate than the Lottery Control Commission, just seeing. So, like when you're talking about billions on billions of dollars, like that's all taxable too. So let me just say, like, why a lot of states are rolling this back because it's money. It's a lot of. Like $4 billion is a. I mean, that's a gigantic sum, and that's just 2023 numbers. Legalized, and I also want to point out that's what the first year it's legalized $4 billion in Ohio.
That's
One of the
crazy.
things that they talk about is how do you know if it's a problem? That the Ohio Problem Gambling Helpline jumped 55% in calls the first year of legalized sports betting. So that's talking like they were getting 6,800 calls a year, over 10,600. Um, PG&O, which is Problem Gambling Network of Ohio, reports that 2.8% of adult Ohioans, roughly 255,000 people, suffer from a gambling disorder. But one thing I want to make sure I point out, they would label 1.8 million people at risk for a gambling disorder. So those are people who are maybe reporting or showing up with like, oh my goodness, like that's kind of problematic, but not maybe fully. They're just at risk for developing. So,
Mhm.
I mean, 255,000 people is a gigantic number. And I think sometimes it's like, oh, well, it's only 2.8%. Well, that's like 3 out of 100, break that down, 1 in 33. So if you go into like a restaurant, 1 in 33 people are struggling.
That's a lot.
That's a huge amount of people. I mean, that's significant. Like, you don't even really have to go that far. And this is also before other legalized gambling avenues become. Right now, we could talk about social casinos another time, but iGaming, which will be legalized casinos, that will come in the
Wait, wait,
next
wait,
year in
wait, wait,
Ohio.
wait. Pause.
Yeah.
iGaming?
So iGaming is all of like the casino games and all of those like blackjack, slots through the official casino books. That will be coming in Ohio. So Caesars won't just have a sports betting app, they'll have a Caesars casino, and you can go and literally be gambling on your phone with real money. Right now, the workaround is it's a social casino where you can buy game currency, earn game currency, and then cash out for real money. This is the workaround. Air quotes on the workaround if you can't see my hands. And then you can cash out to real money. So that's one of the ways. But this would cut that out where you can go straight to it. So and like why I feel like I talk about this a lot, so I'm really sorry, Tiffany, you have to keep hearing me talk. But like I'm really concerned because as soon as that's there, you can do the same thing like right now at the sports betting. 24/7, all day, every day. You don't even have to get off. You literally don't even have to move. You literally can just sit on your phone, sit in your bed, sit in your chair. You don't have to move anywhere. It'll all be right there for you. That's going to wreck people. You know, one of my colleagues, Dr. Gregory Stewart, he is like the founder of the Southwest Ohio Coalition of Problem Gambling and Prevention. And he tells a story of when he used to see some vans coming into different neighborhoods to bring some of the older adults to the casino for something to do. And he's like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. That's so wonderful. This is like a long time ago. He felt like this. Now he's like, oh my gosh, they're literally taking them to go and maybe take their income, and that being challenging, you know. And not to say that every older adult that wants to go to the casino is having problem gambling, but just like the risk of that and the nuances. Um, yeah. So again, I could go on and on and on. And I do want to say, like, I'm giving some heat here to the apps and the portals. And I think, you know, we're in an app society and there's challenges, but like having personally done like for Problem Gambling Awareness Month, like property tours, there are several properties, like whether it's a sports book, casinos, where the staff really they have to do training one to spot stuff. But I'll be real, like there are some who are very invested and very like, okay, we really care about this. And like you could tell it was very important. Like they're wanting people to come and have entertainment and fun, not have like an addiction. So I want to make sure I'm being fair to some in the industry. Like some don't care, but I think a lot do. They take it very serious. But like there's a lot of things where sometimes someone may want to check a box. But like what's the integrity behind it? So all this to say, like I think we haven't even scratched the surface of how bad this is going to keep getting. Um, I just think it's going to keep getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I guess, like, from your perspective and like what you're seeing trend wise, like what you're learning about, what are they kind of like, what are some of like the reason, like, I don't know why I air quoted that, the reasons that like this is either becoming more prevalent or it's happening more often, or is it just that like it's just now because we're just now recognizing it as an addiction?
Well, I mean, access is huge. I mean, it's like there's more access than ever before. Like just the point, it's in your phone. You don't have to go anywhere. Um, and I mean, also there's so much money being pushed out, like in ads to draw people into this. And, um, I mean, that's just gambling in general, but like we've talked a lot about sports betting, but like there's prediction markets, which is absolutely gambling. Cryptocurrencies, absolutely gambling. Wall Street bets is absolutely gambling. Like, you know, I mean, I like to invest, don't get me wrong, but like when you're sitting there and the meme stocks with like GameStop and stuff, like I do, let me just be honest, I find it hilarious and think I love that. I love it. I think it's entertaining, but like it's entertaining to me. It's not really a bet, but like there are people, I mean, they're doing stuff like that. Um, it's appealing right now. Also, like you could think about opportunity. Like everyone is feeling economically oppressed right now. It's a hard time for pretty much anyone. And so who doesn't find an appeal? And I buy this ticket, I go to the roulette table, I go play craps, I hit on this, and I'm good, and I'm free, and I have freedom, and like that's kind of the allure, right? The reality is the house always wins. They're not losing any money, or else they would not be in business. Like they're going to make hand over fist bushels and bushels of money.
Mhm.
Um, and but it's alluring, you know. I mean, it's just it has an appeal. And I think we all like to think we're all superior, unique, and we're going to be the one that beats the odds. And sometimes people do, and people do win. I mean, it's not a they have to regulate the payouts of how much things are winning or not winning. But I just think it has a lot of things, a lot of variables conflating at the same time. Um, yeah, and I just think people are really vulnerable right now. I mean, I get why that sells. Like, I get it. If it's like, oh, have entertainment, but you have the chance to pay off all your debts, that sells really well. Like, that sounds really good. If you don't do a lot of digging, that sells well. That's not what's happening for people. Just to be clear, I want to give a disclaimer, but like, that's part of the allure. And
Mhm.
sometimes if you look at these ads or get pictures, they're devastating. Like they're absolutely devastating. I'm not going to do this justice, but like I was at a conference, someone like showed an ad of someone like sitting in the bathroom looking at a sports book app, making a sports bet. And you might think, why does that matter? It's like because it's like they're alone and it's like something to hide could be a message, but also you see ads where it's like I'll never forget this one. And like, I'm just going to use the word prediction market because I'm not going to plug them. I think they're garbage. I'm just being really upfront. I think it's garbage that they've tried to use this legal loophole to expose people at 18 instead of 21 because it's 21 to sports bet and make bets in general. But this ad was saying, I remember not knowing what it was. And I saw the ad myself on TikTok and I was like, oh, now with Kalashi, damn it, I said the name. We're just going to move on. Like with Kalashi, I can make my side hustle coffee money. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what are we talking about? And then it's like, no, this is gambling. So they're like, put some money on who wins the Oscar, who wins Survivor, and then you win. Like that's gambling. Like that's literal gambling. I'm giving you money. I'm chancing it on something and I can win or I can lose. That's gambling.
So would it be fair to say that across the board, a straightforward way to define gambling is if you're putting money on something in hopes of making more?
So I'm double checking myself. So you heard me
Okay.
type because I'm going to make sure the act of risking something of value on an uncertain outcome. That would be the most technical way.
Okay.
So there has to be three elements: a wager, risk, and a prize. So there's something staked, there's something with chance, and then there's a potential reward.
So following that definition, does that also include like stock market stuff?
Well, it does on it can. It really can because I mean, it could include things like buying stock options. It could be things like investment should be strategy. Like, I think that the oil industry is going to continue to do well. I'm going to invest my money. So, but if it's risky, like, you know, being really aggressive, like that's where you can get into things like buying options and all this type of stuff. But I mean, it could be a lot more than people think. Like, it could be church bingo. People hate that. I'm in the church, so I can call this out. Like church bingo, people are like, no, that's not gambling. That's for Jesus. And I'm not making fun. Like, but that's like, or cruise ship bingo. They're like, no, it's fun. I do it with my kid. Like,
Mhm.
really. And I've played many a game of church bingo and cruise ship bingo, but like, that's gambling, y'all. It's just gambling we don't think is bad. We're just like, oh, that's okay. And I'm not trying to say it's bad or good, but it is gambling. Like, that
Yeah,
is
I mean
gambling.
you're placing a bet, a value bet
Yeah.
on something in hopes of, gaining something. And like by definition it's gambling, but I also think too that's potentially where it gets complicated. When you're running things like bingo, like I remember going to bingo with my grandparents and I was like, I get to
See?
tap things. Like it
I
was
know.
so
It's
much
like fun.
fun.
It's like don't take
Yeah.
bingo from here. It's like I love bingo. I'm not saying not to love
Yeah.
bingo. I'm just saying some people that is not a door they can shut. And like you can have an addiction to gambling and it only be bingo. I'm not saying everybody there has a that's where like it's just like saying not everyone drinking alcohol has an alcohol addiction, but some
Mhm.
people do, and some people shouldn't drink alcohol. Like that's all we're talking about with this. But no, I mean honestly, like this is where loot boxes come in. So I want to try to buy LeBron. Well, no, they're making more money if off me trying to buy a box to maybe get a chance to get LeBron. So I have to keep buying these packs. I don't because I think it's so dumb. But that is where it's like that's gambling, and so that's why that's getting really regulated because a lot of kids play these sports games, and they're that is. I mean, let's just break this down for just a second. I'm staking some tokens that I've either earned in the game or bought, probably bought because they're priced very high. I'm risking trying to get what I want, and the prize is this player or thing in the game that I'm wanting. That is gambling, like straight up.
Mhm. Yeah. I guess, like, because it can be like, we I don't know how to phrase this without, like, potentially, like, saying it incorrectly, but I'm gonna try. Like, we have created, like, safe or, like, acceptable gambling,
Mm-hmm.
aka bingo, where, like, I remember as, like, a church kid, like, that was the fun game that we played was bingo, and you won, like, stuffed animals or, like, religious books. Um, but in that way, like, thinking about it in the
Yep.
context of, like, gambling, I'm like, well, that makes it seem, like, potentially harmless, but it's still, like, that chemical brain cycle, like, at the foundation of it of, like, oh, you're betting something, adrenaline is spiking, you win something, and you're like, "Oh, like, this feels really good."
And that's I'm glad you said that because like I think we don't realize the harm we're doing to kids and young people if like they're not feeling any consequence. So like you probably as a kid, I imagine you have to like take your allowance or something and like, oh man, I lost all my lunch money or allowance. But like people will buy kids lottery tickets as a Christmas gift or
Mhm,
something. It's like that is so unhelpful because all they're like, oh cool, I got some free money. And it's like that's and then like sometimes people do fundraisers for schools with like raffles. Like I mean, like they make money. I get it. Like raffles make a ton of money as a good. They're a great fundraiser, but that's gambling. And so there's somebody that may be buying too many tickets because they're like, oh, let me win.
mhm,
So I don't want to say like I don't want to be like, oh, all gambling is going away. Like gambling isn't going to go away. I think the challenge is like this is going to keep exploding and like I just think it's like a year from now, Tiffany, honest to goodness, like it's going to even be worse. It's going to be worse. This is just going to keep getting worse. And so the other thing is like funding is hard to get for like clinical services because people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to like do a damn survey about it because it's like, oh, I don't want to admit that. Like I've done outreaches as like suicide prevention, drug outreach, had very beautiful conversations with people. When I've done gambling outreaches, like sincerely, like the people like almost don't even want to be seen stopping by the table because of like the association of like so I think this is something we need to focus on. We need to try to bring good data forward, good conversations forward, but it's going to take time to excuse me.
mhm,
No, I'm just downing coffee. But it's something that I think is going to keep getting worse before we really recognize the scope of how problematic this is.
mhm. Yeah, and I think too, it sounds so tricky. So really, like, tricky in terms of, like, and then maybe this is because I'm not an expert, like, in this area, but tricky to determine, like, what is, like, fun and when fun, like, crosses over into, like, problematic. Because I can't lie, I love bingo. Like, who doesn't want to, like,
I
go play
love bingo.
bingo and, like, win journals and pens and stickers and, like, cool things?
I mean, I still love bingo. I think it's just being mindful of like, hey, like, and I love cruises. Everybody in my life knows I love cruise, but it's like being mindful of like, okay, like your kid won bingo. Oh my god, like they may not understand like you've spent money and like you're not going to make money doing that. But I think it's just we just it's almost just like honestly like talk to your kid. Like, I'm sure every parent in the world like it's like hey let's talk about like if like you want your kid to be smoking or drinking right and a combo like no I don't want you to be drinking and driving like I feel like not 100% of parents are probably all on board don't drink and drive like I think we all could be on board it's like the same thing as like hey if you're gonna do that let's talk about it and like set up a stage but like if you're going in without understanding hey that's gambling like you could find yourself in like, oh wow, I don't. This has opened a door I really can't close.
Yeah. And I guess too, like hearing you say being mindful of what if someone like I guess like I'm thinking about like how easy it could be to like, oh, I love bingo and then like that easily like slippery slope progressing into like going from like stickers and journals to like big cash prizes. And I'm just curious as to like how would
Maybe.
you
Oh,
interact with someone who like doesn't have that like ability to be aware of like when it's like slipping into like problem zone?
um, it's a good question. I want to say if someone's not ready to hear feedback from somebody, it won't matter what you're saying, to be blunt. But I think if someone's open, just being like, "Hey, I want to help you. I want to support you. I want to support you with this." But I think sometimes people have really great intentions, but it doesn't matter what the intent is. So I think like finding that opening when someone's maybe looking, or if they ask you, like being honest. But I think unsolicited, it won't really make too much of a difference in my experience. But I almost think we need to do one just on bingo, to be honest, because I'm sitting here and it's like I want to go on this huge deep dive because like I think it doesn't need to be bad, or it's just it just there's just a level of um risk. But I've enjoyed getting to kind of dive in a little bit. I think maybe an episode on bingo, or maybe kind of like more of the different types of gambling could be interesting for us to
I
talk
would
about.
love to learn more about the different types of gambling because I feel like people are gonna be like, bingo is not the same as like casino. And I'm like, that feels accurate, but like, and then like we can even talk about like how I would love to learn about all the different varieties, but also have a discussion about like even though these are very different varieties, they probably still activate like the same
Yeah,
biological system.
and I they do, and I think it's a very common response to trauma to try to self-regulate, self-medicate, and like there are many people doing that with this. And I won't like go on and on, but like
But now
I
I
have
want to
several.
know more. Now I'm like, I'm curious how like self-regulation via gambling, like how that works in a trauma lens.
Well, that makes sense from a trauma lens and the neuroscience. So maybe we'll have to do a little digging. Tiffany maybe come in, but yeah, if anyone listening has like things they'd like to hear more about or learn more about, like please um, feel free to let us know. But we really appreciate you being here, and we know that we're getting more people listening, and so we just want to thank you for
I know that
engaging.
was crazy.
Yeah, we Tiffany and I before we started this today, we were just for us like we've not had as many people listening, and so we think we're kind of finding a flow. But we want to thank you, and so if you're noticing anything we can do to make this more relevant, this is like a passion project for Tiffany and I. But just want to say thanks for those who are listening and engaging with us. It really means a lot that you would spend some of your mental energy or time with us.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And until next time, keep growing.